Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we're going to be taking a look at Chapter 67 of Kaiju number 8, and I've just got to say, this one's for the girls. Now, none of you want to hear me butcher a country song, so I'll get into that in prose speech in a minute. But, as usual, this will be a spoiler-free review, but just in case you don't want to hear anything, I'll give you a chance to click away by telling you to go check out the links below my video to get yourself a copy of Humans Are Weird. I have the data. Or Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, my short story collections of human absurdity. Alright, Chapter 67. This one's for the girls. What do I mean by that? One thing that a really good Shonen Jump manga needs to do these days is to essentially have universal appeal. Traditionally, shonen, that's literally what, to the best of my understanding of Japanese, what shonen literally means is manga or comics for young boys. But Shonen Jump is such a massive magazine that they frequently have comics aimed at young women and comics aimed more specifically at young men. But the best comics, the ones that have gone the mile, One Piece, Demon Slayer, and as has been recently rebrought to my attention, Yu Yu Hakusho. I'll do another video on that later. But anyway, all of these things had one thing in common. They appealed to both the male and the female audience. This isn't shoujo manga, it's shonen. These are all battle mangas. But they had a core appeal that kept the girls coming back for more. And that appeal was the emotional resonance between the characters. You have these wholesome friendships and brotherhoods between these male main protagonists, and that's what we keep coming back for. That was the main attraction of Dragon Ball Z, at least for me. And even though I am a shonen girl, I like a battle manga. If somebody doesn't punch something within the first 5 minutes of the anime, I'm not really going to be interested. But anyway, be that here, neither here nor there. A good manga, a manga that's going to go the distance, get that anime, go on for three digits worth of chapters and several seasons of anime, is going to use those relationship elements to appeal to both characters. Now, I avoid any spoiler discussions for the chapters as they come out, but when I had to go make a comment about the one character's expression on the first 2 pages. I mean, there's just a smirk there. That character's having way too much fun and enjoying himself way too much. Definitely got a sadistic streak going there. But anyway, when I went in there to make that comment, I saw a lot of other comments grumbling about the pacing. And basically they claim nothing happens in this chapter. And that was not my experience at all. To my perspective, everything happened in this chapter. This chapter was the culmination of storylines that have been building up from chapter 1. In fact, you have the mirror there of Kafka and Reno in chapter 1 in the hospital, in their hospital rooms together, divided by just the curtain, and that's mirrored in this chapter. But when I look at it from the perspective of the classic shonen audience, the young male, the guys who's going to want to watch a manga that's mostly Rock'em Sock'em Robots, I'm oversimplifying. I know a lot of my male friends really appreciate the relationship dynamics, but you get my point. In general, statistically, young men want someone to be punching something, and I can totally appreciate that. But from my perspective, from the female side of the fandom, this chapter was incredibly satisfying. The pacing was great. And the reason that is that it accurately reflects the reality of people. And this is one thing that I have actually tried to write into my stories before, and this is something that I've specifically advised authors when they come to me for advice. When you have a character who has something about them that is terrifying, you can't just have their friends ignore that. There are certain things that make someone frightening if that person is super strong, but especially if that person is displaying things that make them a potential danger. So the only real life examples would possibly be the first time you find out your friend is capable of giving someone a beat down. Maybe somebody has a mental disorder that involves outbreaks of rage. But yes, those things are frightening, and mature adults will admit to that. And like I said, I've advised multiple writers to just, if you want to portray a healthy relationship where people aren't hiding things or lying to their friends, you need to have them admit, yes, that superpower you have, that is terrifying. Of course, the corollary to that is, I still want to be your friend. It's worth being near you, even though you're frightening. And so this chapter, to me, was wonderful. It was perfect timing, perfect pacing, because I, as a female reader, really, really value the emotional connections and relationships that go into these characters. This is what made Star Trek, Star Wars, Demon Slayer, Yu Yu Hakusho, One Piece. This is what a great story has. You've got the action, you've got the adventure, you've got the hero going out there, training his muscles until they spasm in agony, but you also have the fact that your protagonist, who's been gifted with supernatural powers, is a terrifying figure. And you need to have the people react to it. You can't just have the sort of Pollyanna response where everything's fine and dandy. You have to deal with the actual fallout from these. And that is why I really appreciated this chapter. The other reason is that in this chapter, you just get really realistic reactions. Now, I don't know how well this will hold up because these are modern things, modern issues people are having, but yes, when someone I love calls me after a major event, it is terrifying. I remember when I was planning on breaking up with my then boyfriend years ago, every time the phone rang, I'm like, please don't let it be him. Please don't let it be him. I was just so stressed out because I really didn't want to hurt this guy, but the relationship had to end. And so he ends up calling me one day, and I steel myself to talk to him. And I was so relieved when I found out he was just calling me because my grandma had fallen over and broken her arm and was headed to the hospital. And it just struck me as being such a ridiculous reaction. It just stuck in my brain. My grandma was eventually fine, by the way. There was a goat attack. She broke her arm, but that's a whole nother story. But when you're in an emotionally tough situation, for people of our generation especially, that phone ringing can be a terrifying moment. And when you log back on to something after you've been gone for a while, especially when you've said something or done something and you're expecting negative reactions, whenever you get a communication like that, especially when you've gone online and said something true that you believed, but you know you were going to get reactions for it. Or you were at a party with your friends and family, and you did something, and you wake up the next morning, and there's around 5 to 10 times as many notifications as you usually get. That is a terrifying moment. But it's so specific to the technology of our time, to the culture of our time. I mean, the only other thing you do would be, the only classic example would be coming home, opening your mailbox, and having a bunch of letters spill out. But even that doesn't have the same instantaneous social punishment that you get. And then when you accidentally hang up on somebody when they call you, the modern technology, the smartphone, this modern piece of technology that we all deal with on a day-to-day basis, it comes with some very specific situations that are, in the moment, as our culture understands them now, incredibly stressful. What I want to know, what really makes me curious, is that this whole chapter, or a significant portion of this chapter, is based around these cultural elements that are true only in relation to the smartphone, at least for most people. And so I wonder how long that's going to hold up. 50 years from now, when technology has inevitably changed, So I can pick up Yu Yu Hakusho, read it now. I'm 99% sure that I can get all of the same emotional beats that I could have when it was first published. Let's see, it was published in 1990, 40 years ago. Okay, let's say 40 years ago. Oh my goodness, it's been 40 years since Yu Yu Hakusho was published. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I could pick up that original manga, the original English translation, read through it, and pretty much understand most of the cultural references. Oh, assuming the difference between American and Japanese translations, of course. But with with so much of this chapter being based on very specific elements of technology, even as much as it's based on deep-seated, very human neuroses, I wonder how well is this chapter going to hold up? The main element, the main concepts will hold up, but 40 years from now, when oh my goodness, when whatever replaces Netflix is going to do a live action adaptation, and the people go back and read the original manga, are our grandchildren going to be able to understand this in the same way that we did, in the same way that we can go back and read the old manga, even Astro Boy, and get the context. What do you think? Do you think that the technological aspects of this chapter are going to hold up? The emotional ones will, but really tell me what you think. What do you think? Is this chapter more for the girls than the boys? Do you think that it's actually a bad thing that the mangaka is taking the time to offer this? It's not even fan service, to tailor his storytelling to include the female audience as much as the male audience. Do you think that's going to be an overall negative or positive for the longevity and popularity of the strip? Just leave your comments below. I'm really, really interested not only in the context within this chapter, but the meta context. Will the emotional stress caused by the technology hold up 40 years from now? Do you think that the mangaka's choice to integrate the more female appealing aspects of the series will slow down the overall interest in what is, after all, Shonen Jump? Hit that like and subscribe button, leave a comment, and peace out, my wonderful viewers. Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans Are Weird, We Took a Vote, and Humans Are Weird, I Have the Data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.